Hey, Lucas from the local here. We are at Dufferin Park, which is sort of like a little known gem, I think, in Stratford, and we're trying to rectify that by sharing a little bit about what's going on here. What we've been doing over the last couple of years is we've transitioned a bit from individual plots, which are still happening. People are still growing in their individual plots, to a more team-oriented effort, sort of like a farming model. We're now growing on almost an acre and a half is what we're working almost with at this point of growing space. So it's quite a bit of space, and we need your help to make our idea come to fruition. We currently have about 30 people that are taking part in the urban farming program, which is basically growing in these spaces. This is field 1 here. We have different crops. We have leaf lettuces and beans and peas, carrots and leeks. We've just planted some squash. There's some radicchio over here. We have a couple of furrows of tomatoes, cauliflower, all kinds of good stuff. Cabbages all going on here. And that's just one of our fields. And what we're doing is we're trying to teach people when they grow here regenerative farming techniques, which is essentially a more sustainable system of agriculture. So if you're feeling inclined or interested in this, you're welcome to come out any night. It's Monday nights or Tuesday nights from 5 to 7 o'clock. And you don't have to, there's no long-term commitment. We just love to see new people, introduce you to the space to see if this is something that you might be interested in. If you're afraid of hard work though, you better stay at home. No, I'm joking. It's pretty relaxed. That's the idea. As the more we get more people involved, there's less work. What's the saying? Many hands make for light work. That's the idea. So we hope you'll come out and join us in our space. Maybe we could take a little tour of a few things that are going on here. Okay, so one of the crops I wanted to introduce you to is one of the summer favorites, and that's the tomato patch. So we have here is, I guess, roughly around 60 tomato plants that we're trellising. So what we're learning here is basically how to grow for fruit. If you just let a tomato plant grow of its own volition, it'll get really bushy and it'll go to lots of vegetative growth, and that usually means less fruit. So if we're able to keep it on one stalk and learn how to prune tomatoes properly and prune them to be long, not only are they easier to harvest from, but we'll also get more fruit out of our plant. So what we're doing here is something called a Florida weave, and if you look close, we just basically come in and out, zigzagging through each plant on the opposite to sort of help prop the plant up. We haven't pruned these yet, just because we're sort of like letting them get more vegetative. But as they get a little taller, as they are, you can see this guy here is getting pretty big. He's around waist height. So we'll have to prune him back and prune some arms off and stuff like that. We have lots of flowers, and then also we're going to trellis that one at that level and keep going along the line. So that's one of the crops we have going here. There'll be lots of tomatoes this year, I'm sure. Well over like 500 pounds anyways of tomatoes I'm sure we'll get out of here. So if you're interested in growing tomatoes and want to be a part of that, come on out and learn how to prune tomatoes and how to trellis tomatoes in this really simple and easy way. Okay, another thing that I wanted to maybe take some time to draw your attention to is our turnip crop. So these are all turnips. You can see all the leaves here and there, and they're sort of like in what looks like straw. So one of the things that we teach and try to practice in regenerative agriculture is to not actually till the soil. And I'm not going to get too much into why that is, but essentially that's a practice that we exercise here and we try to learn to work with. So what you're seeing is a ryegrass crop was grown all throughout this whole garden. And then it was killed or crushed and crimped, and then we planted in that, which allows us to biologically till the soil rather than using heavy machinery, and it also gives us a cover mulch to help suppress weeds. And then what we've done is we've planted all of our turnip transplants right into the cover crop here, and we're just letting them grow up now. So that's what's happening here. That's the turnip crop. There's probably about, it's got to be about 300 or 400 turnips in here within a 20 to 30 foot run. And we'll be looking to harvest these guys probably in, I would think, September. So that's another crop for you. All right, and another crop we'll take a look at is the cabbage. So here we have cabbage planted into a rye cover crop, and we also have cabbage planted on just straw covered ground. So the interesting thing about doing regenerative farming and practicing that is that it's not that it's necessarily new concepts, but we're sort of like learning as we go here. So it's kind of neat. It's like farming's a little bit of an experiment. And we can see here that the roots of the rye crop here are sort of like holding these cabbages back more than the ones in just the straw. And that's likely just because of all of the root matter inside of the soil. It doesn't mean that these aren't going to become great cabbages. It's just not as fast a system as the straw method. There's more long-term benefits to this system of growing versus that. So one of the things with regenerative farming is that it's an experiment, but it's also an opportunity to sort of like grow things in a more ethical way. So we have both red cabbages, green cabbages, all growing throughout these furrows. They're doing really great. These would have went in around I don't know, maybe the first week of June or something like that. Last year we had fabulous cabbages. We had great big cabbages, and if you guys come on over here, you can see like one of them here is heading up nicely. You can kind of see the cabbage coming on. So we have a beautiful cabbage. We always watch for little bites like this because it might tell us that there's like a little predator or something that might be getting at it. But as you can see right here, if we were to use herbicide, we would have killed this predator right here, which is a spider, and he's likely to prey on whoever's eating this cabbage, and that's probably why he's living in here, is that he's going to actually eat the thing that was eating the cabbage. And that's the beautiful thing about biodiversity, is as we seek to sort of juggle those things, it might mean that we lose the odd fruit or cabbage, but we're sort of learning to work with the environment and grow in a sustainable way that sort of puts us in the seat of a learner almost, where we're learning about the environment, watching these processes, seeing how the symbiotic relationship of the natural world works, and learning to grow within those and with those processes rather than suppress them.